Welcome to our newscast where we will discuss the 11 environmental factors.
First, we'll be discussing the demographic factors. Victoria's Secret is beginning to face issues regarding demographic factors. It appears that Victoria's Secret is beginning to be looked down upon by millennials and their demographic differences. Millennials have much different demographics than previous generations, and many millennials feel that Victoria's Secret does not cater to these differences. Millennials today care very much about diversity and body positivity and how every body is beautiful. Victoria's Secret tends to reinforce a very specific body image that is not representative of the average woman's form and is not culturally diverse either. Victoria's Secret reacted to this by pulling some of their campaigns that promoted what they believe the perfect body to be. Other than that, Victoria's Secret has been slow to combat this issue. This demographic issue has had an impact on the company and the community. The community is beginning to see the issues within the company, and the company can potentially begin to decline because of this. Next, we will talk about weather and environmental factors. Tesla, when releasing the Tesla Model 3, ran into issues regarding weather and environmental factors. This particular model experienced its first winter, and Tesla realized that there were several consumer reports of freezing door handles, windows, and charge ports. Tesla did not realize the colder temperatures in winter would cause issues with this particular model. Tesla reacted to this by implementing a new system that is meant to correct these issues. While this new system did correct some of the issues, it seemed to create new issues as well. This situation did have an impact on the company and the community, both good and bad. Consumers were happy that Tesla was putting an effort to correct the issues, but are still upset that all of the issues have not yet been resolved. Tesla is continuing to deal with these weather and environmental factors. Now we'll move on to Megan Price with media forces and technological forces.
There are many companies that have faced setbacks regarding media forces. One of the companies in particular is American Apparel, a North American LA-based clothing company. The company was attempting to create a social media campaign in which they promoted their summer clothing items over the 4th of July. However, when creating the digital marketing campaign for the events, an image of the Space Shuttle Challenger exploding was used. The company experienced major backlash on social media sites such as Twitter and Facebook. Customers shared the disgust in the company's insensitivity with such an event. American Apparel then responded by retracting the campaign image and a statement apologizing and stating that the employee in charge of the event was unaware of the photo depicted in such an event. And then on to the technology forces. Starbucks made the decision to create a mobile app for ordering their products in order to continue competing with the continual advancements of technology that all companies are seeking to be a part of. The app allowed for online orders to then be picked up immediately in stores. The app was originally a huge success with over 26 million users in the first year alone. However, the company then began to see struggles with the mobile platform as baristas attempted to keep up with not only the in-store orders, but now all of the online orders that were being made. There was a great increase of traffic to the store locations that offered such services. However, customers also began to become increasingly more impatient as the app grew in popularity and orders were more and more backed up. Starbucks responded by hiring on more employees in locations where there was an issue in the speed of delivery of products to consumers. They also made adjustments to the app that allowed for baristas to receive online orders in less time, which gave them a better chance to prepare drinks in advance. This was especially helpful during rush hours for these stores. Now on to Jake with political and governmental forces and legal and regulatory forces.
For legal and regulatory forces, I researched the new California data privacy law. In June of 2018, California enacted the nation's strongest data privacy law. The law requires companies to disclose the types of data they collect about consumers and with whom they share that information. This act comes at a time where a movement towards giving people more control over their data is essential. Companies such as Google and Facebook, who have already updated their privacy policies after the GDPR, will have to look further into their privacy policies to refrain from being fined. This act looks to set fire in the privacy environment and is expected to spread across the U.S. states and federally. For political and government forces, I researched Ohio's adoption of Bitcoin for taxes. Ohio in November made history with the state allowing cryptocurrency to be accepted as tax payments for businesses. The businesses are able to pay their taxes with Bitcoin. Ohio is the first state to allow tax payments to be paid with cryptocurrency. This will grow the cryptocurrency market and make it more legitimate. There are critics who say that cryptocurrency lacks value. However, with this movement from the government of Ohio, it looks as though the crypto market will show it is valued and could perhaps be adopted by different state governments. Now on to Katie with psychological, sociological forces.
Today we'll be talking about the psychologically and sociological forces. Uber is trying to force women who say they were sexually assaulted by drivers to resolve their claims behind closed doors rather than in courts. Not only are the victims being affected psychologically and sociologically by this ride-sharing company when they were sexually assaulted, but Uber is also being affected by these environmental factors when they attempt to silence these victims to shield their company from public scrutiny. Court records in the California class action lawsuit reveal that the ride-sharing firms have argued that female passengers who speak up about being raped in an Uber must individually settle their cases through arbitration, a private process that often results in confidentiality agreements. 9 women from across the U.S. have joined the case seeking to represent all women who have been assaulted or experienced violence in Ubers in hopes of pursuing the corporation to reform a better protection against passengers. Uber, however, has filed a motion arguing that the riders agreed to privately arbitrate all disputes when they signed up for the ride-sharing services and thus have no right to file a lawsuit. Now on to Claire with ideological and moral ethical forces.
In 2017, Pepsi came out with a commercial campaign about police violence because 2017 it was a major issue. Definitely a blue versus black society, and they starred model Kendall Jenner. In this, she comes out of a dress rehearsal and joins a march super randomly, and then goes to the front of the march with a Pepsi in hand and gives it to a cop in like the front line. And after that there was like dancing and people taking pictures and cheering, making it seem like just a little Pepsi could make a big difference. Well, people were very hurt by this, and ideological beliefs were tested during this time, and Pepsi was questioned very harshly about what the meaning behind this was and why they did this. It was seen as though this ad hurt those who were grieving and protesting, and those lives lost were belittled and made light of, and it made it seem like there was a simple fix for something that was culturally ingrained in people and something that people were obviously fighting for. It also made it seem like just this young white model could also make these problems go away simply with a Coke in hand or Pepsi in hand. Pepsi did come out with a statement saying that this was a global message for unity, peace, and understanding, and that they were not trying to belittle anything. Even though they did come out with this, it didn't seem like it really helped everything with their stance, so they continued to have to apologize, and also had to apologize to Kendall Jenner for making it seem like she didn't know what she's talking about and super careless because she wasn't given everything she was supposed to have to do. On to Facebook. Since 2006, they've been dealing with privacy issues and how to deal with this moral and ethical issue in society. What do we do with privacy? How do we have privacy with technology? In the beginning of 2018, Europe passed and enacted data protection laws, and at first it seemed like Facebook was going to do all the right things and had put in place new privacy principles that helped users change their settings so that they could protect what things were private and what things they would want more as public, and also third parties, how their profile would be protected against third party use. From there, in 2 short months after, it was revealed that Facebook had a huge data theft by a third party or multiple third parties, and did nothing about it. It didn't come out and tell the public, just kind of sat back and like waited for it to reveal itself, it kind of seemed like. Well, shortly after, Mark Zuckerberg came out with a public apology, apologizing for this inconvenience to users and how they were going to change their policies. Well, after that, he stated that they would have a 3-step plan to change privacy settings and better protect their users. With Facebook and social media in general, and it's just come up a lot more, what is the moral and ethical standards we're going to have against privacy and the use of people's stuff that they willingly put out on the internet, and the government and hopefully more businesses will come to a conclusion. Now on to Tristan with market and economic forces.
Finally, we're going to talk about the market and economic forces that some companies face. A large factor of market forces is business acquisitions. Just recently, BlackBerry announced that it would be acquiring the cybersecurity company Cylance at about $1.4 billion, which would be BlackBerry's largest acquisition to date. This will strengthen BlackBerry's security and Internet of Things, which would complement existing products such as their embedded operating system. Cybersecurity is becoming a more and more popular market since there has been a huge increase of online devices. Instances of high-profile data breaches and electronic eavesdropping has put a greater emphasis on cybersecurity. With about 20 billion devices expected to be connected to the internet by 2020, along with online information and services valued at about $114 billion by the end of this year, BlackBerry is doubling down on its leverage of expertise in encryption technology, and you can expect many more companies to follow suit. Lastly, economic forces. The increase of the American dollar against major world currencies is creating problems for many large international companies. Even Nike, the world leader in sports, is susceptible to this problem. However, Nike has been able to implement mechanisms to reduce the effect of exchange rate fluctuations. One is the deconstructing payments into multiple currencies rather than just one currency. Another strategy they use is to adjust payments to the factories on the basis of how currency moves. By using these strategies, Nike has been able to reduce the effects of economic factors that are unfavorable to the company. And that's all we have today. Thank you for watching.